Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Jaya Gopi Jana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Kala Sanji Radha Kala Sanji Shri Radhe Kala Sanji Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Shri Radhe Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Shri Shri Radha Madhava Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So today, we're going to be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4. Chapter 8, we will read texts 24 through 34, and we'll be focusing on verse 34. The topic for today is our proper attitude towards others. Put our hands together. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We'll do the Sanskrit and English of the next couple verses together. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam Devyam Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Sri Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayasha breshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasoke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistaki. By regular attendance on the classes on Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome in the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Gantimarandasya Ganandana Salakaya Chakshuranmitiham Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the Lord. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Okay, if we can turn to 4:8. Oh, let's go. So what's going on in this new story of Srimad Bhagavatam, right? We had Lord Shiva and all this wonderful story, and now we're in a story of Dhruva Maharaj. And what's going on with Dhruva? Oh, we don't have the mics. Uh-oh. So Dhruva is tried to sit on the lap of his father, right? Seeing that his stepbrother was also wanting to sit on his father's lap, he also wanted to. And so when he was went to step on his father's lap, what did his stepmom say? She said, "Don't you dare basically sit on your father's lap. That's not the place for you. The only person who's allowed to sit on the father's lap is my son. And if you would like to sit on your father's lap, then you can take birth in my womb. But until then, you have no place sitting on your father's lap." And how did Dhruva take this? Did he smile? Did he say, "Oh well, no big deal"? No. Dhruva, as a 5-year-old boy, became furious, very, very hurt, very, very upset. And so, in his stepmother's instructions was also something that if he's to pray to the Supreme Personality of Godhead to take birth in her womb, right? But Dhruva kind of caught a little bit of what the hint of if he wanted something, he should go to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he goes to his mother. And what happens when he goes to his mother? Krista.
She gets sad that Suniti, right? Or Suruchi said that, and she's like, well, she's kind of right. Like, I can't help you. You have to go to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
And so, today we hear that Dhruva says, okay, I'm out. I'm gone. Let's do it. We're going to find Krishna. Okay, text 24. There's only 10 verses, so we can each read one.
The great sage Maitreya continued, the instruction of Dhruva Maharaj's mother, Suniti, was actually meant for fulfilling his desired objective. Therefore, after deliberate consideration and with intelligence and fixed determination, he left his father's house.
The great sage Narada overheard this news, and understanding all the activities of Dhruva Maharaj, he was struck with wonder. He approached Dhruva, and touching the boy's head with all virtuous hand, he spoke as follows.
How wonderful are the Kshatriyas. They cannot tolerate even a slight infringement upon their prestige. Just imagine, this boy is only a small child, yet harsh words from his stepmother proved unbearable to him.
In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says something like this. What does he say? For an honorable man, dishonor is worse than death. So you can imagine that Dhruva was feeling like this. He'd rather die than feel this dishonor. Go ahead, please.
The great sage Narada told Dhruva, my dear boy, you are only a little boy whose attachment is to sports and other frivolities. Why are you so affected by words insulting your honor?
My dear Dhruva, if you feel your sense of honor has been insulted, you still have no cause for dissatisfaction. This kind of dissatisfaction is another feature of the illusory energy. Every living entity is controlled by his previous actions, and therefore there are different varieties of life for enjoying or suffering.
The process of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very wonderful. One who is intelligent should accept that the process, should accept that process and be satisfied with whatever comes, favorable or unfavorable, by his supreme will.
Now you have decided to undertake the mystic process of meditation under the instruction of your mother, just to achieve the mercy of Lord. In my option, such austerities are not possible for any ordinary man. It is very difficult to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Narada Muni continued, after trying to progress for many, many births, and remaining unattached to material contamination, playing themselves continually in trance and executing many types of austerities. Many mystic yogis were unable to find the end of the path of God's realization.
How frustrating would that be? Years of trance and austerity, you're not even able to come God realized. Go ahead, please.
For this reason, my dear boy, you should not endeavor for this. It will not be successful. It is better that you go home when you're grown up by the mercy of Lord, of the Lord, you will get a chance for the mystic performances. At the time, you may execute this function.
One should try to keep himself satisfied in any condition of life, whether distress or happiness, which is offered by the Supreme Will. A person who endures in this way is able to cross over the darkness of nescience very easily.
Every man should act like this. When he meets a person more qualified than himself, he should be very pleased. When he meets someone less qualified than himself, he should be compassionate toward him. And when he meets someone equal to himself, he should make friendship with him. In this way, one is never affected by the threefold miseries of this material world.
Okay, so Nard tells him to go back home. Says, you're too young for this. Do you think Dhruva followed that instructions? No. Dhruva is on a mission. Okay, if we can turn to 34. Gunadikan mudam lipsed. Gunadikan mudam lipsed. Anukrosam gunadatmat. Anukrosam gunadatmat. Maitrim samanad anvichayan. Maitriyam samanad anvichichan. Nataper abhibutyate. Natapyer abhibutyate. Bolo. Gunadikam mudam lipsed. Anukrosam gunadat madat. Maitram samanad avichin. Natapir abhibuyate. Anybody else? Guna adikan dumadam lipsid. Anukrosam gunadarat. Maitram samanad avichin. Natapir abhibuyate. Gunadikan mudam lipsid. Anukrosam gunadyamat. Maitrim smanad anvichin. Natapira bibuyate. Okay, before we go to translation, is there any words that we recognize here in this Sanskrit? Guna. What's guna? Qualities, right? Any other words here? Kroshan. Anger. Where's this? What word is it? Oh, okay. Anu krosam. Okay. And does anu mean not? Like the opposite? Huh? To follow? Tapir. Yeah. Tapir. Isn't that like austerities? Yeah. Na? What's na? Miseries? Okay. Tapere. Abhibuyate. That sounds familiar to me, but I'm missing. Abhibuyate. Anybody know what abhibuyate means? Okay. Let's see how we did. Okay, all together. Guna Arikat, one who is more qualified. Mudam, pleasure. Lipsit, one should feel. Anukrosam, compassion. Guna Admat, one who is less qualified. Matrim, friendship. Samanat, with an equal. Avichit, one should desire. Not tapya, by tribulation. Adibuyate, becomes affected. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Every man should act like this. When he meets a person more qualified than himself, he should be very pleased. When he meets someone less qualified than himself, he should be compassionate towards him. And when he meets someone equal to himself, he should make friendship with him. In this way, one is never affected by the three miseries of the material world. Purport. Generally, when we find someone more qualified than ourselves, we become envious of him. When we find someone less qualified, we deride him. And when we find someone equal, we become very proud of our activities. These are the causes of all material tribulations. The great sage Narad therefore advised that a devotee should act perfectly. Instead of being envious of a more qualified man, one should be jolly to receive him. Instead of being oppressive to a less qualified man, one should be compassionate towards him, just to raise him to the proper standard. And when one meets an equal, instead of being proud of one's own activities before him, one should treat him as a friend. One should also have compassion for the people in general who are suffering due to forgetfulness of Krishna. These important functions will make one happy within this material world. So interestingly, in the Sanskrit is adikat or adikar. I'm guessing that comes from, and it's qualified, and it's a big part of what I'll be speaking on today. So, Srila Prabhupada says in this purport, remember our topic today is our proper attitudes towards others. And so we should have a proper attitude towards those who are less qualified, those who are more qualified, and those who are equally qualified, right? And so Srila Prabhupada says in this purport that of less qualified, we should raise them up, and don't deride them. We should be compassionate to the people who are less qualified than ourselves, right? And what does he say about more qualified? How should we treat more qualified persons? We'd be very happy. Happy to what? Receive them. Welcome them. When we receive somebody to our home, how does that look? We get them water, right? We hopefully have some kind of snack or some kind of prasadam that we can offer them, right? And then, so when we receive the more qualified person, we want them to feel very comfortable. We want to serve them, right? As a matter of fact, and Srila Prabhupada says, what don't we want to do to the more qualified person? Yeah, we don't want to be envious towards this person. And then if we find somebody equally qualified, how should we act? Do we have the mic somewhere? Let's hear. What should we do, Dustin, to the equally qualified?
If we meet somebody equally qualified, we should make friends with them. Yes, right? Become friends with them. And what shouldn't we do? Or what do we tend to do and we shouldn't? That's actually, Mother Kunti, the more qualified person. Srila Prabhupada in this particular purport says that the equally qualified person is we start to be proud of our activity. We start to show off. Yes, exactly. We try to one-up them, right? We're like, oh, you're equal to me, so let me show you my superiority. And then we peacock in whatever way, shape, or form. So I thought that this would be a very nice example to talk about the three levels of devotees, right? We have, I like to think of it as Kemu, and this is KMU, Kemu, Kanishta Adhikar, the Madhyam Adhikar, and the Uttama Adhikar. And these are three levels of devotees. So just can you take us to Nectar of Instruction, verse 5, please, if you wouldn't?
And the reason why we want to talk about these three different devotees, or qualified level of devotees, is because it can teach us, we can get some understanding of where we're at, where we want to reach to, and how to treat others, how to properly treat others. Because it's very hard if we stay at the bottom platform. If we're stay at the bottom platform of the Kanishta, a neophyte devotee, it becomes very hard to actually treat people properly. Drissa, will you go to the translation, please? We can all say the translation together. One should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. One should offer humble obeisances to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation, diksha, and one is engaged in worshiping the deity. And one should associate with serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. Okay, so we have three levels. We have K, Kanishta, M, Madhyam, and U, Uttama. If you look on here, so Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that the Kanishta is the neophyte devotee, the Madhyam is the middle level devotee, and the Uttama is the highest level. So when we read this translation, how do we see the neophyte devotee in this situation, and how do we act? Mentally honor him. And Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that this is the person who has been given Harinam Diksha, or been initiated to chant Hare Krishna. Or we can also understand somebody who comes to the temples chanting their rounds and is committed to chanting Hare Krishna in some way, shape, or form of their life. This is the neophyte stage. And in this purport, it says that the medium or the Madhyam Adhikari, what is their qualification? They're initiated. They've taken Diksha, or second initiation, and they're worshiping the deity. So in ISKCON, to get up on the altar, we have to have second initiation, right? So we've been initiated into our second initiation, and now we're worshiping the deity. And the third, what does Srila Prabhupada explain the third as the third? Go ahead, I'll repeat it. The propensity to criticize others, right? Can you imagine that? I don't know about you guys, but I can't even keep my mouth from not criticizing people, let alone being completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. It's like not even attractive. It's not even like something that enters them. It's like, Okay, Drissa, will you move to one should not remain, Srila Prabhupada says in the purport. There we go. Dustin, will you read this paragraph? So read the first paragraph, and then there'll be some Sanskrit. You can skip the Sanskrit and go to the next, to the translation, and we'll end there.
One should not remain a Kanishta Adhikari, one who is situated on the lowest platform of devotional service and is interested only in worshiping the deity in the temple. Such a devotee is described in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Translation? Just go ahead and read the translation of this. There we go.
Quote, translation. A person who is very faithfully engaged in the worship of the deity in the temple, but who does not know how to behave towards devotees or people in general, is called a Prakriti Bhakta, or a Kanishta Adhikari.
Okay, so we understood that the Kanishta is the neophyte devotee, the very beginning of the devotee. But how can we understand this in a culture where we don't necessarily grow up with deity worship? What does a neophyte devotee look, and maybe in other faiths without deity worship? That's a question. Does anybody have any ideas? Go ahead.
I guess a good example would be somebody in Christianity who hasn't been baptized yet.
Or maybe they've been baptized, right? Yeah, maybe not, but they go to Sunday every Sunday. They go to Easter. They go to Christmas, yeah. Right? And they're very interested in performing religious activities, you could say, right?
Yeah.
And maybe even get into a point where it's kind of ritualistic sometimes, right? I go to the temple. I go to the church on these days. I see my friends and I read my Bible on on Wednesday with my men's group, right? But they, in general, they can't see other people. So they only can perceive things from their perspective. So this person has a tough time understanding why people worship in any other different way. This is the right way. You go like this. If anybody's doing anything else, they don't get it. They don't understand, right? What other things that we could see in the Kanishta that might look like in our culture in America here, or even in the culture we have in our temple? Anybody have any other situations or thoughts? Srinath, Krishna Prabhu?
I remember this example that our Guru Maharaj gives is this person who is a neophyte thinks, say, you could pick any religion, but say there is only one religion, Christianity. There is only one God, Jehovah, right? And there is only one prophet, Jesus Christ, and there is only one book, the Bible.
Yeah.
Everybody else is going to hell, right? You could do that for Islam. You could do that for the Hare Krishna. There is only one God, one book, the Bhagavad Gita as it is, one prophet, Srila Prabhupada. Everybody else is going to hell.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
kind of the mentality of the Kanishta.
Yes. My path. Any other examples? Starry. Oh man, we only have 5 minutes. Holy moly.
I'm thinking of like hypocrisy. So, going to church and saying that, we believe this, we believe that, kindness and all of these things, and then in your daily life, in your beliefs, acting differently, acting the opposite.
And often the opposite is that they don't believe the same thing I believe. So therefore I treat them without compassion because of this short-sightedness.
Yeah.
I was thinking also, thank you, that's a very good example. Also, sometimes I see in our movement that people who are might be preaching in a sense, they'll stop somebody and that person will show some interest in the book, and they'll start telling them about maybe how the whole entire universe is created. And I'm not saying that speaking about how the universe is created is wrong, but the point is they don't see the other person. They just start preaching. They just go, Lord Brahma, here you go. There's 3 different, they might even start talking about the 3 levels of devotees. And anyways, this person has, they have no clue where this other person's at. So they just speak from their platform of where they're at, and it's not even of where they're at and understanding. It's just that they're throwing out slokas. They're throwing out philosophy without trying to see that there's a person in front of them that needs to be spoken to at a certain level, because that is a person too. So this is matter of fact, it says that the Kanishta often causes more problems preaching than they do good. So, just if you wouldn't mind going to one therefore has to raise himself. So Srila Prabhupada says, Uriel, will you mind reading this? And then again, there will be a Sanskrit, and you can just go right to the translation.
One, therefore, has to raise himself from the position of Kanishta Adhikari to the platform of Madhyama Adhikari.
Madhyam, yes.
The Madhyam Adhikari is described in Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th Canto, chapter 246, in this way. The Madhyam Adhikari is a devotee who worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the highest objective of love, makes friends with the Lord's devotees, is merciful to the ignorant, and avoids those who are envious by nature.
So this person, they can see others. Not only can they see the others, they can see where they're at. They can see if this person's more qualified than me. I can see if this person is less qualified than me. I can see if this person is equal to me. And so therefore, being able to see others, they can start to understand how to act to this person. How do I associate with this person? Do I give them association? Do I take association? Or do I share association? So this person, anyways, what? Now let's go back to the same kind of process. What does this look like in our, maybe in a Western country like America, or in our culture as Hare Krishnas? What does it look like to be on the Madhyam Adhikari platform? Adhikari means qualified, by the way. So this is the middle qualified person. Anybody suggestions or thoughts? Drista, what does it look like?
I'd say it's kind of like I don't know. I think it might be, well, at least if I look at other faiths, the people I encounter, most of them seem to be in this Madhyama mindset, at least, in that, they make friends with the other people at church, or they're on the street, talking about the Bible, trying to talk to their friends about the Bible and things like that. And we do the same thing. We make friends in the temple, and we go out on Sankirtan and try to help try to be merciful to the ignorant. So.
Anybody else have any suggestions on how that might look? I'll give an example that I have. I was at Deep Ellum once, and I met a Christian lady. We were on Harinam. She started talking to me, and I could tell that she was versed in philosophy of the Christian faith, because we were going back and forth. But the whole entire time, there was a respect and appreciation for what was being said. So I could actually have a conversation with her. And as a matter of fact, it got to the conversation where I was like, we talked a little bit about reincarnation. And I could tell she was having a little bit of difficulties of how to defend, in a sense, defend that reincarnation wasn't there. And I could see some confusion in herself, like she was kind of thrown off. So her mom helped her a little bit. She said, come over and say, what about this in the Bible, So I was like, okay. My point is that through the conversation, I felt enthusiastic, and I could tell that she felt enthusiastic about hers. Although we did talk about the differences, and I challenged her to think about these things, when I left, I was like, it's like, that was nice, a nice conversation. So I left thinking what? I left thinking when she's ready and when she hears from the right spiritual authority, then she'll accept Krishna consciousness. And she left thinking, that man, he was nice, and once he becomes qualified, then he'll understand Jesus Christ. Right? This is natural, right? But you could see that there was an appreciation of that my path and your path we can try to understand, We might think that this path, anyways, this path is right for me, that right path, but there is some similarities in a higher sense, not just every path leads to God, but no, there's some good philosophy, understanding behind it, So the person who's on the middle platform has an understanding of Scripture. They can defend, in a sense, their beliefs. They don't just go, I was told once at a Sunday class, and that's the way it is, No, they can actually go beyond that to this is what Bhagavad Gita says. This is what Srimad Bhagavatam says. Srila Prabhupada explains this and stuff. So this is the middle platform. So I'm running out of time here, so I'll go a little bit quicker. So there's a story of not a story, Bhishma Dev is speaking to Yudhisthira and Duryodhana. And he says to Yudhisthira, he says, I would like you to go out in the world and go find someone who is less qualified than you. And he says, Duryodhana, I would like you to go out in the world and I want you to find somebody who's more qualified than you. So after some days, they come back, and both of them at the same time, and they come before Bhishma, and he says, okay, Duryodhana, what did you find? Did you find anybody who is more qualified than you? And he says, no, Guru Maharaj, I have not found anybody. I've gone all over the world, all over so many places, I didn't find one person that was more qualified than me. He says, okay, very good. He says, Yudhisthira, how about you? Did you find anybody less qualified? And he says, well, I was searching and searching and searching. I couldn't find anybody less qualified than me. But then I found this man. And he had a herd of cattle. And he was treating very poorly. And I thought, oh, this person is less qualified than me. But I followed him home. And when he came home, it was Ekadasi. And I saw that he was only honoring Ekadasi prasadam. So it's like today's Ekadasi. So he was doing the austerity of no beans and no rice, no grains. And he said, when I saw this, I realized that he was more qualified than me. So Guru Maharaj, I couldn't find anybody who was less qualified than me. And Bhishma said, Duryodhana, you are not qualified to lead the jackals. And Yudhisthira, you are qualified to lead the whole entire world. So as devotees, we always, in one sense, see the qualifications as others in some way, shape, or form than higher than ourselves. But that doesn't mean that we're gullible in the sense of that we don't understand how we should associate with people. It means that we should find some quality in others that we can appreciate that's higher than us. However, we have to come up to a platform of Madhyam Adhikari, or the medium platform, so that we can see others and understand how we associate with them properly, so that we can understand how to act in general with people. So Srila Prabhupada says, well, let me see here, if this is necessary. Because I wanted to go to the Uttama Adhikari in the anyways, what I'll do is instead, I suggest going to this Nectar of Instruction, verse 5, and reading it and reading the purport, because Srila Prabhupada then explains the Uttama Adhikari, the highest platform. And basically, it comes to a point where this person is, as the translation said, is devoid of all desire to criticize others, and we should faithfully serve this person. So Srila Prabhupada says, one should also have compassion for the people in general who are suffering due to forgetfulness of Krishna. He says this at the very end of the purport that we read, the focus verse. And I'll repeat that. One should also have compassion for people in general who are suffering due to forgetfulness of Krishna. And the Uttama Adhikari, Srila Prabhupada explains, is always thinking about how to spread this Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. So we can understand, one way we can understand others is how they're plugged into the Sankirtan movement. Are they understanding their service? Are they understanding, looking for some way, shape, or form about how to do Sankirtan? And that can look in so many different ways. But as devotees, looking at the best of others, we're understanding that just because somebody works at an IT desk doesn't mean they're not engaged in Sankirtan. Just because somebody's a garbage person doesn't mean they're not in Sankirtan. We can actually have to speak to that person to understand how they are looking at their profession in Sankirtan. For instance, if you work at the office, raise your hand. Anybody work in an office? Are you always engaged in thinking about how to distribute prasadam to your fellow office people? Yes? Right? You too? Oh. So this can be the office person's Sankirtan, right? Is they're always thinking about the opportunity to give prasadam. How can I bring cookies? How can I bring this? How can I bring Mother Padma's brownies? I highly suggest those. Or they look, oh, there's an office party and everybody's bringing potluck. Yes. Well, first of all, they're going, oh no, I have to pass everybody else's food and stuff that they're going to offer, but I can bring this kind of prasadam, you know. But anyways, the point being is that in your position, in any shape or form, that you can be thinking about how to spread the Sankirtan movement. And this can plug you into the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya, and you will make a vast advancement. we should, I'll end there. I have so many other things. I was concerned that my talk wouldn't be long enough, and now I'm 9 minutes over time, so apologize. Is there any questions, comments, or thoughts in this? Yes, just.
So, there's this distinction made about the devotee who chants the holy name, the devotee who's undergone initiation, and then the devotee who is devoid of the propensity to criticize others. And I've kind of, it's a little murky for me in that I've heard before that we shouldn't, well, one, we can't identify an Uttama Adhikari unless we are an Uttama Adhikari, as in we can't identify a pure devotee unless we're a pure devotee ourselves. And then the second thing is that, at least in my own experience, I've seen some devotees, maybe they're not initiated, but they're acting in a high platform or a high consciousness. And then sometimes I've met other devotees and maybe they're struggling or they're having a hard time with their spiritual life. And so I guess it's not my job to get my magnifying glass out and see, how advanced are you? So it seems like, well, one, it seems like it's not my place, and two, it seems like I'm not able to distinguish between people's levels of advancement. And you never know. Like they thought Jud Bharat was illiterate and that he knew nothing, but Jud Bharat was actually a pure devotee.
Yes. I heard you mention only Uttama Adhikaris can distinguish other Uttama Adhikaris, right? I'd like to first say that we can at least understand from others and through scripture and through hearing other people who is on that platform. And we can be very confident that Srila Prabhupada is on that platform, the Uttama Adhikari platform, which is very important because in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, you'll find we have so many different kinds of gurus. We have Diksha Guru, Shiksha Guru, in many different ways. And we must understand that Srila Prabhupada is our spiritual master in some way, shape, or form. And I encourage that form in the International Society of Krishna Consciousness is he's our founder acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, meaning that he's giving us the ultimate, how should I say, prominent Shiksha Guru. Yes, but I'm saying, yes, but what I'm saying is he's showing by example perfectly how we act to others and how we follow this process. So acharya, showing by example, right? So we understand that platform, and we want to associate with Srila Prabhupada in the sense that he is a spiritual master as a prominent Shiksha Guru. Second, yes, we aren't speaking on these things so that we can judge others. We're speaking on it so that we can make advancement. And to make advancement, we need to understand where we're at and how to raise our level to come, as Srila Prabhupada says, that one should not stay on the platform of Kanishta. One should bring themselves up to Madhyam. And so, we understand that through following the instructions of the spiritual master, then our level will automatically be raised. So what is that? Srila Prabhupada has given us 4 regular principles that we follow strictly: chant 16 rounds, and associate with devotees, right? And through this process, then we can start to just automatically see where people are at. It doesn't have to become something that's, how should I say, mechanical. We can just see within people who's being envious, who's being compassionate. And what I want to say about this is that people aren't necessarily, I am a Madhya Madhikari, therefore. No, actually on the lower, we might be skimming that level at some points in our lives. When you have your good days and your bad days. Some days I'm on top of my thing and I'm the best version of myself as a devotee, and then sometimes there's that I'm having a bad day and I'm struggling. So similar in that same way is that we don't necessarily have to look at it as I'm on this platform. There's sometimes where I'm smelling that middle platform and I can start to see things more clearly. And then there's some times where I'm stuck down at the bottom and I cannot see anything clearly. So then we have to have understanding of what we do at those times when we're in these positions. When I'm stuck in my lower part and I'm stuck and I can't see things foggy, I'm going to start to associate and to ask people who are senior to me. When I'm in the middle platform, I'm going to also still associate with the people that are higher than me, but I'm going to say it do that in a way that I am going to reaffirm some of the things that I might be experiencing. So this is the way that we can learn from this process instead of judging through this process. Because if we're stuck judging, then we're stuck on the bottom platform, and that's just the way it is. Because that's the point of it, is that we don't know how to do this. We're foggy. We don't see how to understand what platform people are at, and so therefore we need the association of the higher devotees to help bring us up, and so that we do start to see properly. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that answers a good chunk of it.
Mm-hmm. What didn't it answer?
Well, yeah, I guess we're saying like we should treat our seniors or the Uttama Adhikaris one way. We should treat the Madhyamas or I guess that's not really an equal comparison, but we should treat seniors one way, equals one way, and juniors one way. We should treat Kanishas one way, Madhyamas one way, and Uttama Adhikaris one way. And so I was kind of saying, like, I don't have the capacity to understand where everyone's at. Mm-hmm. But then we also see Maharaj Yudhishthira, he also seems to not, he says, I can't find anyone who's less qualified than me. Yeah. That's obviously not true. He's Maharaj Yudhishthira. There's probably millions of people far less qualified than him. Mm-hmm. This person's beating a cow. So one could argue, shouldn't we treat everyone as they're more qualified than us?
We should definitely see this devotee and want to associate with them in the sense of serving them and become like them. The thing is with this platform of Uttama, where Yudhishthira was showing in this example, is such a high level that that person is seeing equally everyone, or even more qualified than them. However, in International Society for Krishna Consciousness, and what Srila Prabhupada taught us is that we're preachers, we're Sankirtan. So we, as Sankirtan devotees, we actually have to be on the middle platform, because we have to understand how to preach, and how to preach depends on the level of the person. So we can't just see everybody as pure souls, right? To preach effectively, we actually have to come down a level and start to discern where people are at. And people that are envious, we don't necessarily preach to. Those people who are friendly, we engage with them, and those are interested, we engage with them. So I appreciate your question in the sense of, well, if I can't do it, then how do I get it, in a sense, right? If I can't do this, if I can't discern because I'm stuck at the bottom platform, then how do I get to the point where that I can discern from different people and how to associate with them? Is that part of your question that I'm hearing?
Well, yeah, I guess like if you zoom out, it's like you see someone like eating meat on the street, you're like, okay, I know that they're a Kanishta. Or you see Srila Prabhupada and you're like, okay, I know he's an Uttama Adhikari. Like in the kind of temple environment in our day-to-day lives, it's hard to tell sometimes. Or even like we see someone and maybe they're not initiated. That was kind of like the first part of my question, is they're not initiated, but still they seem to be more advanced than I am, or and I'm initiated. So it's kind of foggy when we come into the association of devotees to see like who's where and how to treat them.
Srinath, would you like to give the duck pat and smile example?
Actually, this again our spiritual master. One time I was in a heavy conflict. I mean, not even between the conflict of two devotees. And then he was saying, this is the quality of a Madhyamadhikari, is that he's compassionate to somebody who's innocent, all the qualities. But the one he was saying was, all these three qualities are not three different people. They're all in the same person. All of us have an envious side, all of us have an innocent side, and all of us have a side that we can make friendships with. So the sutra that he gave me was duck, pat, and smile. So you duck the envious side of the person, you pat the innocent side of the person, you smile with the side of the person that you can make friendships with. Right? So, and this Kanishta, Madhyama, and Uttama, Kanishta and Madhyama at least, is a spectrum. It's not that today I'm a Kanishta and tomorrow I've become a Madhyama and all my Kanishta qualities are gone. So although technically I might be on a Madhyama platform because I'm initiated, second initiated, whatever, I still have so many of these Kanishta qualities, right? So that's why the scriptures are giving the qualities that are associated with the Kanishta Adhikari and the qualities that are associated with the Madhyama Adhikari. And especially the verse that Prabhupada is quoting here, 11-47, Archayam eva Hare, that the qualities of a Kanishta Adhikari. If you go to the Srimad Bhagavatam of that verse, Madhvacharya comments on it, Jiva Goswami comments on it, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments on it, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments on it. Such an important verse. And Jiva Goswami says, for all practical purposes, a Kanishta Adhikari is useless for preaching purposes. and the reason why he is saying this is the Kanishta Adhikari only sees Krishna in the temple and doesn't know how to associate with others, and therefore doesn't respect anybody. So if you're not able to respect even the devotees, how are you going to respect people on the street so that you can actually go and approach them? You're going to see them as, oh, they're not doing this, they're not worth my time, right? So therefore, Prabhupada says from that perspective, you have to quickly come above the platform of Kanishta Adhikari. But if you go to that purport, you can see all the acharyas have very specific details on what the qualities of a Kanishta Adhikari are. And we can examine for ourselves. And when we associate with people, we can see, oh, this person has this propensity. Therefore, I have to associate with him in this way so that it is beneficial for the both of us. So in this verse, Prabhupada says, you have to worship the Kanishta Adhikari in your mind. Right? The respect is never out of question, but how we respect is what's beneficial to everybody. So if you see a Kanishta Adhikari who's already thinking, oh, I am so great, and is not respecting everybody, and you pay dandavats to that person, what's going to happen to that person?
So puffed up.
Yeah, already he is so puffed up, it's going to increase his propensity to become more proud, right? So it is also not just for our purposes, but it's also for the benefit of the other person on how we interact with the other person. Therefore, from that perspective, we try to see, not to say that, oh, this is a Kanishta, oh, this is a Madhyama, not in that discriminatory way, but to have a society where we can mutually coexist with different grades of people, right? That's basically the purpose of this. Not to go on a discriminatory thing and say, oh, always you're starting to think what this person's qualities are, and this is a Kanishta, this is a Madhyama. Just during natural associations with people, we find different qualities in them and we can associate with them accordingly. So that's kind of the idea.
Yeah. I was thinking that, well, I guess we can end here, is that to get to the higher platforms of devotional service, we have to understand the purpose behind our philosophy and our understanding. And if we stay on the bottom platform, we just see the rules, do's, don'ts, this and that. To get higher in the platform, we have to start understanding the purpose for what it is there for. And the purpose is to serve Krishna. The purpose to understand these different platforms is how I can serve Krishna best. If I'm meeting somebody who's envious, I won't do any good. As a matter of fact, I'll start to hurt them. So the encouragement here is to understand that these discrepancies of understanding are to help us in our devotional service and help others. If we can get to the platform of helping others, we've even jumped another level. We'll end there. 8 minutes late. Jai Shishi Radha Kalashanji ki jai. Jagannath Baladev and Subhadra ki jai. Gornitai ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol.